Wow, I really like what you just said. It was so great, and I know that I'm so happy because we're recording this, and it's going to be available also on an audio format so people can download this interview on their phone. But the thing that you say is something so powerful. Don't be self-centered. Be God-centered. Be Christ-centered. That's the key. You see, the Word of God is so powerful. Hebrews 4:12 said that the Word of God is sharper than any two-edged sword. So it means that there's no weapon who's stronger than the Word of God to come and to readjust what is missing in your life. You know, there's an adjustment. But I want you to close with this. What about, we hear when, especially in a church, when somebody, transition from this life to the other life, and they go on to be with the Lord. And a lot of people say like, "Oh my God, I just lost my mom, and it was a celebration. I know she was saved. It was a celebration. Nobody cried. We're just happy. We're shouting because she went to heaven." But that been destroying the life of a lot of people, because we need to bring balance. Balance in life is so important. Even the Bible says that balance is the key of life. It means that you need to balance statement, because you still have to deal and to grieve. And I know that you have one program when you really teach a Christian how to grieve, because a lot of Christians, they don't know how to grieve. They confuse faith and denial. Faith and denial, and you cannot recover if you're in denial. You need to acknowledge something, then move on. And so what you have to say if somebody who lost their loved one and were Christian, and they lost their loved ones, and somebody comes say like, "Don't cry, be strong, and be happy, rejoice. Your husband went to be with the Lord."
One of the things that we're going to be doing is a grief foundations class, and it's not your traditional grief foundations class, because I'm not going to just say, okay, all the top tier things, be strong, and it's going to be better by and by. Come on. The fact of the matter is, you have truly lost someone in your life, and the reality is, people are in denial. And I appreciate, I came from the church. My mother and father were ministers, and I remember when people told me on the day my mother passed away, and my dad passed away first, and then my mother, "Oh, if you ever need us, we're going to be right here for you. Let us know." The day after my mom's funeral, we looked around for those same people, and they were ghosts. They were not even available. I had to literally pick up the pieces and learn how to grieve, learn how to actually go through the process. And not to mention, days after my mom and dad passed away, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be just fine. To be absent with the Lord, is present with the Lord is absent from the body. The reality is that people, there are stages of grief that people have to go through. And a lot of people, like I said, don't really want to deal with the fact, when they experience grief. Some people tell you, to be absent with the Lord is present, absent from the body is present with the Lord. Yes, all of that is true. That's really great and everything. But the reality is, you have to cry. You will get angry. You will be in denial. You do have to go through the process of grieving. You have to eventually accept and place that person or that thing that you lost in a place where you can still function in life. And I'm telling you, I wish to God I would have been able to deal with that early on in life when I lost my parents. No one told me that. No one told me that. The fact that I had Christ in my life, if I would not have really taken myself through the natural process, it's one thing to say that you know God, but it's another thing to deal with truth. And you can have both of those things. You don't have to say, "Well, I'm a Christian, so that means I can't cry. I got to be strong. I got to, celebrate this as a homegoing and all that stuff." Come on. Let's deal with it. Let's deal with the grief. The days after will be tough. God has given you the strength. He's given you the wisdom to deal with every situation. That is true. But one of the things that I'm going to be teaching people in my Grief Foundations class is that every person's situation of loss and grief is different. Unique. It's unique in its own way. There's not a blanket way to dealing with grief. That's why, I'll be offering group courses for people that have like situations that happen to them. But in many cases, I'll be working with people individually, because people are at different stages in the grief process. There's several steps to the grieving process, loss. There's several steps to the trauma process. And each person may be in their own stage. And they can't be rushed along. when you're giving someone the ability to come to face with their situation they've never dealt with, even as a child. Let's say you were traumatized as a child. You're coming to the instance of dealing with that at 41. You're going to have a lot of layers to peel off. A lot of layers, a lot of relationships that you have gone through, a lot of situations, and wondering why, wow, this is how I've been acting, and this is the reason why I've dealt with all the stuff that I've dealt with in my life, because I really didn't understand why. All that's going to be like a dressing room where you're going to be taking off layers and layers and layers and layers. And a lot of times you don't want to do that in the presence of people. So I'll be offering individual and group therapy, webinars, and foundational classes that go all the way from why am I grieving, how to grieve, using expressive therapy techniques, journaling, bibliotech, videography, sand therapy, play therapy, all those kinds of things, all the way to addressing the fact of where they are now. You know, my mother and father, I believe, are in heaven. So how do I live on this earth knowing that they're in heaven? You know, if you lost a job, how can I start looking for a better job when I'm trying to grieve the job that I lost? So my program basically addresses the spiritual, it addresses the mental, and it addresses the entrepreneur in every one of us. Because once we get through the mental sludge that's going on in our life, then we can be able to face the calling that God has put inside of us. And He's put something in all of us, Darcy. And I'm able to help people from start to finish. I'm a web developer also, so I basically have the gift to be able to help people from the very beginning of their stage of grief and loss all the way to the end. I write grants. I work for several magazines writing articles, so I'm able to help people think strategically about what their next step, their next natural step is going to be from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
That's great, Danita. Thank you so much for this interview. And I know that you're going to be able to go to the website. We have a lot of information on the screen and be able to register. I'm telling you, those classes are going to fill up quickly. So reserve your digital spot. And we are so happy and so thankful and humble that you trust our services, and especially what Danita she's doing with the technology of streaming to be able to reach the whole globe. All you need is a mobile device, and you're going to be able to have access to us. And we also are working on, both of us, on our venture into our mobile application, where you can be able to access us 24/7 on your mobile internet device worldwide. So thank you so much. Thank you, Danita. And I hope to see you soon again. We're going to see each other, but for Deb, we want to see you soon, okay? So make sure you come back and let them know what's going on. Thank you. Bye-bye.